Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana football gets its first win against Purdue since 2019.
And men's basketball comes back from a 1-2 trip to the Bahamas as they host Sam Houston State at home. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Joe Cronin.
And I'm Kelsey Dennehey.
Kelsey, Thanksgiving just happened. It's really the 3 F's that take the cake: family, food, and of course football.
And I think you know which one I'm going to take, Joe. Absolutely football. And speaking of football, after picking up their first loss of the season at Ohio State, Indiana football returned home for the Old Oaken Bucket game. Our very own Ben Haller has the recap.
In a week with so many college football playoff hopefuls on the ropes, Indiana took care of business and put the cherry on top of a historic season, taking home the Old Oaken Bucket in dominating style with a 66-0 win over Purdue. A career-high 6-touchdown performance from Curtis Work all but solidifies Indiana's spot in the college football playoff.
We certainly made a statement again. Can't say enough about what this team, has done between the white lines. But they're not satisfied. They're not done yet. They want more. And they're going to get more.
It's hard to pick which side of the ball played better today for Indiana, obviously with a 66-0 win and a shutout for the defense. The star of the defense here, write this down to remember it, 5 tackles for Jalen Walker, 4 of those for loss, 1.5 sacks. He had 2 pass deflections, an interception, and a forced fumble.
Attention to details, you know what I mean? Just worry about your assignment, how you can fix and play fast and run fast. We had a couple of mistakes at Ohio State, and we just knew we had to be a better defense, and then we showed out today.
He's got a nose for the football, and nobody likes playing football more than that guy. And, he's a tough guy to block, and he can do a lot of things. He's a great athlete.
All Indiana can do is wait now, but they feel pretty comfortable with the college football playoff selection show coming up next Sunday with an 11-1 record and getting a lot of help from other teams around the country. But for whenever that comes, we'll have the coverage for IUSTV Sports. I'm Ben Haller.
It took just 1 year for Curt Cignetti to turn this program around. Much of it is thanks to his work in the transfer portal. We go back to Ben Haller to see how Cignetti made the most of some overlooked transfers.
When making the transition from James Madison to Indiana, Curt Cignetti brought 13 transfers with him, and they went from playing in 20,000-seat stadiums to 50,000-seat stadiums and games on ESPN Plus to having games on College Game Day. Among those 13 are 4 starters in IU's current front 7, where Cignetti told them they could shock the world, and that's what they've done.
I mean, I wouldn't have came here if I didn't believe that. Sitting in his office when we came here on a visit in December, we realized that, we can do something special here, and, not many people are going to, be on our side. We're going to have a lot of doubters, but, like I said, I wouldn't have came here if I didn't believe that.
Indiana just wrapped up its best season in program history at 11-1. The winning is new for Indiana, but not for Coach Cignetti and his JMU guys, who are largely responsible for leading the Big Ten in tackles, sacks, and tackles for loss.
Look, we got a group of guys and coaches that have won 24 out of their last 25 games. So we don't have a confidence problem.
And if there's one star up front for these defensive Indiana transfers, it's Mikhail Kamara, leading the team off the field and on it, finding himself in the top 10 in all of college football in sacks and tackle for loss, and he leads the message of these group of 5 transfers having something to prove.
This is a really big opportunity for me, especially being a Sun Belt guy. First off, as an FCS guy, then Sun Belt. I just want to, not even just me, I think everyone wants to kind of prove that we're supposed to be here. That's me speaking for all the other JMU guys and even the guys that's transferred here from ODU or whatever other schools they transferred from.
But the adjustment for Kamara has not been just about business.
I'm having a lot of fun, I'll be honest, a lot of fun.
Why?
I mean, it's winning. It's winning in the Big Ten, especially coming from JMU. A lot of people didn't think we were going to come here and dominate. Specifically the JMU guys like Walker, Fish, Pons had a crazy game today.
For Carpenter, Kamara, and all the other JMU transfers, the lights have gotten brighter and the production has gotten bigger. For IUSTV Sports, I'm Ben Haller.
Moving into basketball, the Indiana men's basketball team got a much-needed dominant win against the Sam Houston State Bearcats on Tuesday in Assembly Hall. After a tough week in the Bahamas, the Hoosiers bounced back, winning 97-71, a lot of it thanks to the transfers Luke Goody and Miles Rice. Rice quietly led all scoring with 19 points on the night, and Goody finally found his footing from downtown, dropping 18 points and going 5 of 7 from beyond the arc on the game.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the process. I believe in myself, and I know that I'm one of the best shooters in the conference, and I feel that way every day. So I go through the same routine I do every day, regardless if I shoot well, if I don't shoot well.
The Hoosiers will host Miami of Ohio on Friday night before their first conference test against Minnesota on Monday. It's been said that this year's Indiana men's basketball team has some of its best talent in years. That's largely thanks to 2 transfers who have already made a big impact on the team. Our Graham Nash is back with more.
And for the first time ever, Nebraska is on to the semifinal round.
After a disappointing last season, the Indiana men's basketball team made a lot of changes to try to get themselves back to the NCAA tournament.
We're a little bit deeper than we've been in the past years with our ball club. We still have an inside presence with Ballo, but we got guards now that are a lot quicker than we've had in the past.
2 huge pieces of Woodson's deep team are Miles Rice and Umar Ballo, 2 players with diverse skill sets. For Miles,
his speed, it changes the game for us. And the fact that he can score the ball. His biggest challenge right now is just really being a solid point guard and making sure he understands there are other players around him.
And with Ballo, they knew exactly what they were getting.
Ballo is proven, what he did at Arizona, and he's a double-double guy. He's capable of getting you 10 points, 10 rebounds.
Miles and Umar also have a lot of experience playing against each other, and Miles, he isn't shy about letting others know his record against his now teammate.
I'm 2-0 against Arizona in my time of playing. So I told him this year we get a chance to, play Arizona down in the Bahamas. I'll make sure you go 1-0 and I can go 3-0. But I always give him a little kick for it.
Miles comes to Indiana from Washington State. Umar comes from Arizona. Different places, but this place, Assembly Hall, Bloomington, Indiana.
This is where they've been looking forward to playing the most.
I don't think nothing amounts to having that home crowd on your side. Even at Washington State, we got the crowd going at the end of the year. It was unmatched. So I'm excited to see how the Hoosier fans out here, 17 strong, and see how we can go out there and play basketball.
When I came out of the tunnel, I saw a lot of red jerseys, a lot of red shirts, and I thought it was Arizona fans, but actually it was all Indiana fans. And I was like, wow, we are only 1 hour away from Arizona, but they fly all the way from Indiana to Vegas. That was crazy, And from that moment, I know how the fans are really engaged when it comes to basketball.
Not only are they excited to play in Assembly Hall, but they're also excited to play a physical Big Ten Conference slate.
I've heard a lot of things about the Big Ten. They're a lot more physical and everything, but I just think it's basketball at the end of the day.
I'm a tough guy. I love playing physical, and I love when the ref let us play physical, and Big Ten is known for that. So
both of their impacts have already been felt this season, as Umar has 2 double-doubles and Miles led the team with 23 points in IU's victory over South Carolina.
I have no complaints with this group. They seem to like each other, and they all pushing for the same thing, man, to win basketball games, and that's where it starts.
For IU Sports Media, I'm Graham Nash.
Coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And women's basketball wraps up their non-conference play. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night. Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Ryan Crakes. Ryan.
Thanks, guys. This week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week is Indiana football's Curtis Rourke. The senior signal caller had a stellar season throwing for the Hoosiers, and this Saturday he put on a historic performance against Purdue. In the snow-covered Old Oaken bucket game, Rourke threw for a staggering 349 yards and tossed 6 touchdowns for the Cream and Crimson. This offensive masterclass led IU to their largest ever victory over the Boilermakers and capped Indiana's final regular season at 11-1. This historic effort from Rourke earned him all Big Ten second-team honors and his 3rd Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week award, cementing himself in the Hoosier history books. With Rourke graduating after this season, there may be some questions regarding who will fill in the vacant quarterback position for the IU football team next year. While we may not know the answer to that question yet, we do know whoever it is will certainly have some big shoes to fill. That's all for Hoosier Highlight this week. I'm Ryan Craigs. Back to you guys at the desk.
Indiana women's basketball defeated Southern Indiana at home last night. Our Alex Hines has the recap.
It was not pretty. That's how Terry Morton described Indiana women's basketball's 67-63 win over in-state foe Southern Indiana. The game had two very different halves, with the Hoosiers trailing by 13 at the break. But a blunt halftime team talk sparked a 13-1 run to start the third.
Coach Morin came in at halftime and let us have it, you know. We deserved it, rightfully so. We were daring them to shoot, giving them wide open shots, and a team like Southern Indiana, who's an in-state opponent, they're going to knock those down.
We just didn't respond the way I thought we would in the first half. And so, yeah, I had to get in them pretty good. And question, you know, whether or not they were ready to fight in the second half. And that's guard better, that's fight harder, that's try a little harder. The third quarter in particular, you know, they jumped into their man and we did some really good things. And offensively, trying to get going, trying to get downhill a little bit, but also hit yard on a few of our actions.
It was in this corner with 26 seconds to go that Shea Chesky knocked down a three to extend Indiana's lead to 4. Chesky had struggled over the last 2 games, scoring in single digits. But when her team needed her, she buried the dagger 3.
Just honestly a really good pass by Yarden. And then, you know, luckily it went in. So just a good couple of events right there. You know, as a shooter, you go through things. You go through ups and downs, good games, bad games. You know, just got to stay confident. And, you know, my teammates help a lot with that and the coaching staff too.
The Hoosiers moved to 6-3 on the season. From Simon Scott Assembly Hall, I'm Alex Hines, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers will begin conference play with a trip to Penn State on Saturday at 1 p.m.
Indiana volleyball picked up 2 wins at Wilkinson Hall last week to finish up its season. On Wednesday, the Hoosiers took down Michigan in 4 sets as junior outside hitter Candela Alonzo Corsellis led the way with a career-high 25 kills. Alonzo Corsellis, along with Maddie Saris and Avery Tatum, combined for 50 of Indiana's 61 kills on the night. On Friday, Indiana celebrated senior night in winning fashion with a sweep of Illinois. Even though it was senior night, it was the juniors who led the way, with Alonzo Corsellis and Tatum combining for 32 of Indiana's 48 kills in the victory. The Hoosiers end their season at 15-15 and will miss out on the NCAA tournament.
Joining us now in studio with the Candy Stripe Calendar Report is IUSTV Sports reporter Ryan Canfield. Ryan?
Thanks, guys. In this week's Candy Stripe Calendar, it's a historic week in IU athletics, so let's get into it. This Friday, IU men's and women's swim and dive will host the Cincinnati Bearcats here in Bloomington. Then wrestling will hit the road to Indianapolis to take on Illinois. You can catch that on Big Ten Network at 5. Men's basketball will tip off with Miami, Ohio at 7. And on Saturday, wrestling will head to Cleveland to take on Cleveland State. And women's basketball will travel to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. And remember at the beginning of the segment when I touted this weekend as historic? Well, Sunday, Indiana football will more than likely see itself be selected into the first ever 12-team college football playoff. The selection show will be at 1 o'clock on ESPN. Let's send it back to the desk. Enjoy your week of Hoosier athletics.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Kelsey Dennehey.
And I'm Joe Cronin. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching IUSTV Sports. Be sure to subscribe at IUSTV and follow us on Instagram and X at IUSTV Sports.